I hung my coat out there, and I think I left my clicker in the pocket. Would you get it for me, please? This is what you call being prepared for worship, not like there's anything important going on today. As you can tell, I'm not in the best of voice, so I'm going to try not to speak as often and as loudly as I usually do. So you'll have to listen a little more attentively. But this is the beginning of the month prior to our Consecration Sunday. And we have always traditionally had several, oh, there it is. Thank you. You're so good. Thank you. So tell Raleigh he'll still be out there looking for it, because I know because he's very good. There we go. See how that works? I got it. Thank you. Yeah. We always have allowed folks to come up here and share with us their impressions of the congregation. New members we've always asked, and we'll have several of these talks as we go throughout this month. So we asked Bob and Karen Krauss, some of our newer members, to share with us today their impressions, and they shared during the service, so I'd like to ask them to come up now. While they're coming up, I'd like to point out to you that this is a specially called congregational meeting today, and so there's special rubrics for you. But after the service is ended, after the final hymn, we need everyone to leave the sanctuary and then come back in again and sign in as they come in if they're members. So you need to all go out, have your conversations out there, and talk as long as you want, but come back in to sign in before we can begin the second session. That's something that the state law, the church law, our Constitution, all of those things are required, so you just have to do it that way. I'm sorry. We only do this once every 27 years or so, so it won't be a big deal. But yeah.
Look it up. All right. Well, good morning. We were asked to talk a few minutes on why I like my church. I like to think of it as why we like our church. And one of the main reasons that I'll get to towards the end of this is something that came to me as a realization, even though I've heard it before and read it before, something that Pastor Craig brought out a few months ago that really opened my eyes to something I knew but did not realize. But before I get to that, I just wanted to give a little background, a little history of going to church. When I was very young, I went to church regularly, that is to say, most Sundays. And I went because my mother would dress me up, grab me by the hand, put me in the car, and drive me there. But I wasn't alone, because she did the same thing to my dad. So we did attend church pretty regularly. Around the age of 14, I was confirmed a Christ Episcopal in Warren, Ohio, where I grew up. And again, that was from some encouragement from my mother, who also drove me there. After that, I kind of grew into my rebellious stage, started working and driving and having fun, and after all, it was the 70s, so I was part of that culture. And for too long a time, I moved away from attending church. Church was a place you went for a funeral or a wedding, and that was about it for quite a while. Shortly after Karen and I got married, we went through some things. We had some tough times financially, emotionally, but we survived and we got through it. And one of the things that helped is we decided we're going to church. We lived in Medina at the time. We found an Episcopal church close to where we lived, and we liked it very, very much. There was a real sense of togetherness and community in that church. The unfortunate thing is I took a different position with the company I was with, and then we had to move. So we moved back to Youngstown, Ohio, which, like I said, is close to where I grew up. And after things settled down from our move, we found St. Andrew's Episcopal Church. We liked it very much. We liked Father Hall very much. But it was sad at the same time, because I think we were the youngest folks in the church, and the church was slowly dying. After we moved to Dayton because of another work change, position change, we found out that St. Andrew's had closed its doors forever, which was sad. But after we got here, we found, we tried a few different churches. We found St. Christopher, and Reverend Ruth, we liked her very much. We like her very much. Got to know her, got together with her a few times. She is the one that inspired us to continue going. And again, some things happened. Ruth and the church were going in some different directions, and she ended up leaving the church. And after that, we just didn't have the same comfort level, so we were still looking. During that time, we got involved with the Lions Club. That's where we met Pastor Craig and Leanne. And how can you meet Pastor Craig and Leanne and not be impressed? So, you know, and all the good things, you know, at the 8:30 service, somebody said, I can answer that, but, but anyway.
Ooh, I want their names.
Anyway, we heard a lot of good things about Abiding Christ from the various Lions, and we said, hey, let's go. So we're here, and we've become members, and we like it very much. But to get to the point I was talking about before, Pastor Craig talked about a few months ago something that I had heard before, and he really drove it home for me in the way it was presented, and it is what church really is. Because for so many years of my life, again, it was a building you go to for a wedding or a funeral or something like that. But it's so much more. It's so much more because of what we make it. It's what you make it. It's us. It's all of us. It's community. And that's what I feel here. That's what we feel here, is that sense of community. And we're so happy to be accepted and welcomed here. You know, when we were asked to talk about why we like our church, you know, this is an absolutely beautiful church, but it pales in comparison to the community that gathers within it. And again, we thank you for making us feel welcome. The one thing we have to give is our time. We've gotten involved with a few activities, and we know that we don't know what we don't know. We know that there are so many things going on in this church. Over time, we'd like to get involved with more, get to know you more, and become closer with the church. So for that, we just want to say thank you, and we thank you for the opportunity to contribute to this community.
Now for my 20 pages. I'm not a big public speaker. Bob was a manager at a restaurant, so he's done it before a lot. So I'm pretty much stepping out of my comfort zone to talk about my comfort zone. Pastor Craig asked us to put together some reasons why we liked Abiding Christ Church. I said, sure, that would be easy. I sat down and started making a list. The building itself is beautiful and so useful to the community. We received a very warm welcome when we transferred from St. Christopher's. If you ever need a hug in this place, it's always available. Pastor Craig and Leanne, so easy to see how they care for our church and our community. The choir, beautiful music that gives me goosebumps. I heard Robin can teach people to sing. This is her biggest challenge.
You could put handles on a tune, and I couldn't carry it.
Pastor Craig's awesome and passionate sermons. But what I kept coming back to as I was making my list is the support and the caring I got from many through my 8-month life-changing journey in recovery. This church is my comfort zone, and I am so grateful to God and to my church family. Other than that, I couldn't think of anything else.
Thanks.